I remember it was Beanie Sigel's birthday, and I came and I played a bunch of like soul beats. Like we had soul beats.
For years, fans believed Kanye West and Jay-Z weren't just collaborators. They were brothers. Their chemistry seemed undeniable, their bond presented as unshakable. From studio sessions that redefined hip-hop to joint tours that sold out arenas, the narrative was clear. These two stood on the same throne. But beneath the glossy magazine covers and triumphant performances, cracks were forming. Kanye was outspoken, raw, and unpredictable. Jay-Z, calculated, business-minded, always 2 steps ahead. The world saw them share stages and awards, yet subtle moments told a different story. In 2014, Jay-Z and Beyoncé skipped Kanye's lavish wedding to Kim Kardashian, a glaring absence that fans couldn't ignore. 2 years later, during the Saint Pablo Tour, Kanye publicly accused Jay-Z of turning his back on him, a shocking outburst that shattered the myth of brotherhood. Were they truly friends? Or were they simply allies in a billion-dollar industry that thrives on the illusion of loyalty? This is the story of how two kings of hip-hop went from ruling side by side to drifting worlds apart. Was this friendship ever real, or just another act in Hollywood's greatest stage? The story of Kanye West and Jay-Z's friendship begins not with a hug on stage, but in the quiet grind of a recording studio. In 2000, Kanye was a hungry young producer, shopping beats around New York. His signature style, chipmunk soul, samples with hard-hitting drums, caught the attention of Rockefeller Records. By 2001, Jay-Z entrusted him with several tracks on the blueprint, including the career-defining Izzo HOVA. That album, released September 11, 2001, became a landmark moment in hip-hop, and it positioned Kanye not as just another beatmaker, but as Jay-Z's protege. The public narrative had been born: mentor and disciple, big brother and little brother. By the mid-2000s, as Kanye transitioned into a solo rap star with The College Dropout, 2004, and Late Registration, 2005, Jay-Z was often seen praising him in interviews, cementing the storyline of guidance and support. Media outlets jumped on the imagery. Vibe called them the new Lennon and McCartney of hip-hop. GQ ran spreads with both men photographed in designer suits, framed as partners shaping the future of rap. Red carpets, award shows, and late-night interviews reinforced the idea. A narrative had taken root. Kanye was the visionary, Jay-Z the anchor, and together they embodied an unbreakable alliance. The illusion reached its peak in 2011 with the release of Watch the Throne. The album wasn't just music, it was an event. The promotional campaign spanned glossy magazine covers, a joint interview with Rolling Stone, and a worldwide tour that grossed nearly $75 million. On stage, their chemistry was undeniable. Otis performed at the MTV Video Music Awards. That same year had the crowd roaring. The throne wasn't just symbolic, it was marketed as a shared kingdom. Headlines declared, "Hip-hop has new royalty." But make no mistake, this image wasn't spontaneous. Publicists, stylists, and label executives carefully crafted the illusion of brotherhood. Matching outfits on magazine shoots, synchronized interviews, co-branded merchandise, it was a textbook case of PR strategy. Fans didn't just buy the records, they bought the relationship. To see Kanye and Jay-Z standing side by side was to believe in a vision of unity at the top of rap's hierarchy. What's important is that this wasn't unusual in Hollywood. The industry thrives on packaging intimacy, whether friendships, romances, or rivalries, into digestible narratives that keep fans invested. For Kanye and Jay-Z, the brotherhood became a brand unto itself, fueling both their careers. Each handshake, each smile on stage, each quote in Billboard or MTV News reinforced the same story. These men weren't just collaborators, they were family. By the end of 2011, the illusion felt unshakable. Kanye and Jay-Z weren't just artists. They were cultural icons whose bond had become part of their mythology. To the public eye, their friendship wasn't a question. It was a fact. Illusion hardened into truth. Every illusion eventually meets reality. By the mid-2010s, the carefully constructed image of Kanye West and Jay-Z as brothers began to fray. Subtle signs turned into undeniable patterns. The first cracks came from within the industry itself: money and power. Behind the scenes, questions about ownership, royalties, and credit surfaced. Kanye, always demanding recognition for his creativity, felt underappreciated. In multiple interviews, he hinted at frustration with being treated as the little brother when he believed he had become equal, if not superior, in artistry. Jay-Z, meanwhile, had shifted into a business-first mindset. By 2008, he had co-founded Roc Nation, a full-fledged entertainment empire. Their priorities diverged. Kanye chased artistic freedom, while Jay-Z built corporate stability. The tension was clear. One wanted innovation, the other sought control. Then came the personal divide. In May 2014, when Kanye married Kim Kardashian in a lavish ceremony in Florence, Italy, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were nowhere to be found. Their absence spoke volumes. Fans flooded Twitter with speculation. How could Jay-Z skip his brother's wedding? Rumors suggested Beyoncé didn't want to be part of the Kardashian media circus. Others whispered of deeper rifts, disagreements over money, business, or simply lifestyle. Whether it was personal or strategic, the message was undeniable. For the first time, the supposed brotherhood showed its limits. Patterns of distance became impossible to ignore. Red carpet events that once featured the two side by side now placed them worlds apart. Group photos from award shows often revealed a telling absence. Kanye and Jay-Z were no longer within arm's reach. Where once their presence together had been constant, now their separation became noticeable. Social media made the silence even louder. In an era where friendships were documented through posts and tags, Jay-Z rarely, if ever, mentioned Kanye publicly. Kanye, on the other hand, frequently referenced Jay-Z, often with raw emotion. The imbalance told its own story. In a 2013 Breakfast Club interview, Kanye complained about the lack of support he felt, remarking, "It's like we brothers, but sometimes it don't feel that way." The clip circulated widely, reinforcing the sense that their relationship was no longer as solid as it appeared. Creative differences deepened the divide. Plans for a Watch the Throne 2 circulated as early as 2012, but the project stalled. Industry. Insiders whispered about disputes over release schedules and streaming rights. Tidal, Jay-Z's platform, clashed with Kanye's demands for broader distribution. What fans saw as a dream sequel became, behind closed doors, a battlefield of conflicting interests. And then there was the matter of personality. Kanye's approach was unfiltered, emotional, and often chaotic. Jay-Z embodied composure, rarely showing weakness in public. On long press tours, Kanye would erupt with spontaneous rants, while Jay-Z maintained silence. The clash of styles strained their dynamic. What once looked like complementary differences now appeared irreconcilable. The financial contrast added fuel. Forbes reported in 2012 that the Watch the Throne tour grossed over $75 million, yet whispers emerged that Jay-Z had taken a larger share of profits, or at least managed the money in ways Kanye resented. True or not, perception became reality. When millions are at stake, loyalty can quickly feel conditional. By 2015, fans were openly questioning the friendship. Comment sections under videos and think pieces in outlets like Complex and Pitchfork highlighted the growing absence of joint appearances. The myth of an inseparable brotherhood was starting to collapse. Cracks were no longer rumors. If the skipped wedding in 2014 was a whisper of trouble, The Saint Pablo Tour in 2016 was a thunderclap. For the first time, Kanye West didn't just hint at tension, he screamed it into a microphone in front of thousands of paying fans. On November 19, 2016, during a stop in Sacramento, Kanye launched into one of his most infamous rants. He stopped the music, paced the stage, and began unloading grievances. His words were sharp, personal, and aimed directly at the man he once called a brother. "Jay-Z," Kanye shouted, "don't send killers at my head. Call me, bruh. You still ain't call me after my wife was robbed in Paris?" The audience gasped. Just weeks earlier, Kim Kardashian had been held at gunpoint in a Paris hotel, a terrifying ordeal that dominated global headlines. Kanye's claim, that Jay-Z never called him afterward, was more than a complaint. It was an accusation of betrayal. To millions, it was the mask slipping. Media outlets pounced. Billboard ran the headline, "Kanye West calls out Jay-Z on stage in Sacramento." Rolling Stone dissected the rant line by line, asking whether Kanye's mental health struggles, later confirmed when he was hospitalized for exhaustion, had accelerated the fallout. But regardless of context, the damage was done. For years, the myth of solidarity had been gospel. In that moment, it shattered. Jay-Z's response came months later, carefully measured. In a 2017 interview with Rap Radar, he admitted the bond had frayed. "Kanye is my little brother. He's talked about me 100 times. He even said things on stage that made me uncomfortable. But that's what happens. It's complicated." The word complicated became a defining label for their relationship, an acknowledgement that whatever existed between them was no longer simple nor entirely friendly. The music reflected the divide. On his 2017 album 444, Jay-Z addressed the fallout indirectly. In the track "Kill Jay-Z," he rapped, "You gave him 20 million without blinking. He gave you 20 minutes on stage. Bleep, was he thinking?" Fans immediately connected the lyric to Kanye, interpreting it as a reference to a supposed $20 million advance Roc Nation gave him, only to be repaid with a public outburst. Whether literal or symbolic, the bar confirmed what many suspected. Business and friendship had collided, and neither survived intact. Fans divided into camps. Some argued Kanye had every right to be hurt. After all, wouldn't a true friend call after such a traumatic robbery? Others defended Jay-Z, suggesting that Kanye's erratic behavior had crossed boundaries. Twitter lit up with hashtags like Team Ye and Team Hav, turning a personal rift into a public spectacle. Think pieces multiplied. The Guardian framed it as the end of hip-hop's greatest alliance. Complex called it the Brotherhood that became a business deal. What had once been a source of inspiration, the image of two kings sharing the throne, was now reduced to gossip fodder, analyzed and debated endlessly. The power of the scandal was that it unfolded in real time. Fans didn't learn about the fallout years later in a memoir. They witnessed it on stage, in tweets, in interviews, in lyrics. Every barb was documented, every silence amplified. The intimacy that once fueled their bond now fed the drama of their rupture, and so the truth could no longer be denied. Their friendship had not ended in private, behind closed doors. It had combusted in the spotlight, where everyone could see. The mask shattered in public. When the dust settled after the Saint Pablo Tour outburst, the consequences stretched far beyond a few awkward headlines. What had once been the most celebrated partnership in hip-hop was now fractured, and both Kanye West and Jay-Z were forced to reckon with the fallout, personally, professionally, and culturally. Kanye, always impulsive, doubled down. In the years after 2016, he shifted away from Roc Nation and into ventures that highlighted his independence. The most prominent was Yeezy, the fashion empire built in partnership with Adidas. By 2019, Forbes reported Yeezy had generated over $1.5 billion in sales, cementing Kanye as a mogul in his own right. Yet the success came with a cost. Without Jay-Z's steady hand, Kanye's reputation grew increasingly erratic. His public support of Donald Trump, his controversial remarks about slavery, and his failed 2020 presidential run made headlines. Many fans wondered if Jay-Z had been the one force capable of grounding him. And without that presence, Kanye's unpredictability became his defining trait. Jay-Z, on the other hand, responded with restraint. His 2017 album 444 was hailed as his most mature work, winning a Grammy nomination for Album of the Year. Critics praised the vulnerability of tracks like Smile and The Story of O.J. But tucked within the album was Kill Jay-Z, a thinly veiled address to Kanye. The lyric, "You gave him 20 million without blinking. He gave you 20 minutes on stage. Bleep, was he thinking?" wasn't just art. It was testimony. Fans saw it as confirmation that Jay-Z felt betrayed, not only personally, but financially. The broader impact was felt in the industry. Plans for Watch the Throne 2 effectively died. Rumors persisted. Kanye teased it in 2018 with a cryptic tweet, "Throne 2 coming soon." But no project materialized. Without a sequel, one of hip-hop's most lucrative brands faded. Promoters lamented the lost potential. Fans mourned the absence of another cultural moment. Public perception split. To some, Jay-Z emerged as the clear winner, level-headed, business-savvy, still commanding respect. To others, Kanye remained the more real figure, unfiltered, emotional, unwilling to conform to industry rules. The split itself reflected a broader cultural debate about authenticity versus stability, chaos versus control. Meanwhile, the media framed the rift as symbolic. The New York Times called it the end of hip-hop's golden alliance. The Atlantic ran a piece titled, "What We Lost When Jay and Kanye Fell Apart." For commentators, the friendship had become bigger than two men. It represented a vision of unity in a genre long divided by rivalries. Its collapse felt like a cultural loss. Even Hollywood couldn't escape the ripple effects. When Beyoncé and Jay-Z released their joint album Everything Is Love in 2018, fans noted the absence of Kanye, once an inevitable collaborator. The silence was deafening. On the flip side, Kanye's projects, including Ye, 2018, and Jesus Is King, 2019, bore no trace of Jay-Z. Where once their fingerprints overlapped, now their catalogs were entirely separate worlds. And yet the bond wasn't fully erased. In 2021, to widespread surprise, Jay-Z appeared on Kanye's Donda album, rapping on the track Jail. The lyric, "This might be the return of the throne," sparked headlines and speculation. Was reconciliation possible? Or was it merely a temporary truce born from nostalgia and fan demand? Whatever the truth, the damage had already been done. The throne was empty. The Brotherhood had become a ghost, haunting both of their legacies. The absence became a character. The collapse of Kanye West and Jay-Z's Brotherhood left more than broken trust. It left a cultural lesson about how fame, money, and power distort even the closest relationships. Their fallout became a blueprint in itself, showing how Hollywood and the music industry package intimacy as a product. At their peak, Kanye and Jay-Z sold not just records, but the story of unity. Watch the Throne wasn't only an album, it was a narrative of brotherhood made marketable. Fans weren't just buying songs like Otis or No Church in the Wild. They were investing in the idea that two kings could sit side by side, unthreatened by ego or competition. The illusion had value and the industry knew it. Publicists framed them as partners, stylists dressed them as a pair, and tours presented them as co-rulers of hip-hop's empire. That illusion was as lucrative as the music itself. But when the bond fractured, the backlash revealed something deeper about audience expectations. Fans felt betrayed, not just by the men, but by the narrative they had bought into. The skipped wedding, the on-stage rants, the cryptic lyrics. Each revelation stripped away the polish. The friendship that once inspired hope now felt like another reminder that even the most iconic alliances are vulnerable to ego, business disputes, and human flaws. In hindsight, the rupture also mirrored larger cultural shifts. By the late 2010s, audiences had grown more skeptical of celebrity images. Social media exposed contradictions in real time. A photo could show closeness one day, but a tweet could undo it the next. Media literacy had improved. Fans recognized the seams of PR storytelling. The Kanye-Jay-Z saga became a case study. What looks like authentic friendship may in fact be branding. Yet the legacy isn't only negative. Their bond, real or not, created some of the most important art in modern hip-hop. The Blueprint, 2001, reshaped production for a generation. Watch the Throne, 2011, captured a cultural moment where Black excellence was celebrated at the highest level, earning platinum status and Grammy nominations. Even in conflict, the echoes remained. Jay-Z's 444 and Kanye's Donda carried the fingerprints of their fractured brotherhood, proving that art born from tension can be just as powerful as art born from unity. Comparisons abound. Some likened their rift to the Beatles' implosion, where collaboration gave way to rivalry. Others pointed to Drake and Meek Mill, whose feud eventually ended in reconciliation, suggesting that perhaps Kanye and Jay-Z might one day share a stage again. But as of now, their story sits in limbo. A half-closed book, its ending uncertain. The dual legacy is clear. On one side, fans celebrate the music, the moments, the throne they once shared. On the other, they see through the machinery of an industry that thrives on illusions. Both truths coexist, the Brotherhood inspired and the betrayal revealed, and so Kanye West and Jay-Z's saga endures, not just as a story of two men, but as a symbol of how fragile friendships become under the weight of fame. In the culture of celebrity, where every hug can be monetized and every feud amplified, one question lingers: is any friendship in the spotlight truly real, or just part of the show? So now we return to the central question. Was the friendship between Kanye West and Jay-Z ever truly real, or was it always a performance crafted for the cameras, the charts, and the culture? They once stood side by side, shaping the sound of a generation, and presenting themselves as brothers on the throne. Yet time, money, and pride revealed cracks too deep to ignore. The legacy of their bond remains, but so does the doubt. What do you think? Were Kanye and Jay-Z genuine friends who simply drifted apart, or was the Brotherhood always just another story sold to fans? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your perspective. And if you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the untold truths behind Hollywood's greatest illusions. Because in the world of fame, even friendship can be scripted.